This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the San Gabriel Valley today. We are joined by a council member from Alhambra, the gateway to the San Gabriel Valley. His name is Gary Yamauchi. He has been on the council, ending his third and final term. I'd like to speak with you about your wonderful city. Give us a sense for our viewers statewide of Alhambra. Tell us about the city.
Well, I think we are a very, very interesting city. We have a population of near 100,000.
Decent size.
Right, and we're about 7.5 square miles. It's interesting because we have a tremendous Asian influx in our city. We are about 56% Asian.
Why?
Why? I think what happens is once they start to come into a particular area,
right,
then the businesses kind of lean towards that market. So we have the types of markets that they want. We have
right,
the types of restaurants they want. We have about 125 raw men restaurants within our city. So
sure,
if you like raw men,
I do.
Come to Alhambra.
And as I understand it, you're very close to downtown Los Angeles.
That's right.
Which is close to Chinatown.
That's right.
And so as a result, you have a high number of immigrants from China.
That's right.
Often kind of cross-pollinating with the Chinatown region.
I think that's how it all began, is that they looked for a nice area that was close to Chinatown, downtown Los Angeles. And of course, we are only 6 miles east of Chinatown.
What about the Japanese-American experience? I know that you're of Japanese descent.
I am. There are very few Japanese Americans in the city of Alhambra.
Interesting.
Actually, 1,200 to be. That's it. But there's quite a few in our neighboring city, Monterey Park.
Of course.
There was a big migration of Japanese Americans to Monterey Park back in the 50s when they started to develop a lot of their home tracks and things like that. Many Japanese moved from Sawtell area and Crenshaw area to Monterey Park.
And as I understand it, you have a growing Latino community as well.
Yeah, that's very true. They probably represent about 40% of our population.
So it seems like there's a tremendously rich ethnic diversity in your town.
Well, there is, and it makes it wonderful for people coming in because they're a little bit surprised at the diversity. But we appreciate it very much, and we're very lucky that the diversity issue is not an issue.
I hear you. But apparently some outside organizations agree with you, because over the last year or so, Alhambra has received some nice awards from livability.com, top 100 best place to live. Another organization, nerdwallet.com, 12th percentile among best cities for young families, 14th percentile from wallethub.com in terms of weather, top 200 healthiest banks in America, apparently Alhambra's Omni Bank. I mean, your city is receiving a lot of recognition.
Well, do you mind repeating that like 10 times?
I was going to say. But what is it about your city that is attracting such attention from these types of organizations?
I can only speak for now, because times change, city staff changes.
Of course.
We have a new city manager who's been there for like 4 years. Our previous city manager was, we think, was like the best in California.
Of course.
But he went up to Santa Clara, which was a huge job up there.
Right.
And he took that job.
And I have to think, I'm very familiar with the Eddie Award, which is given out by the Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation. And that looks at business friendliness.
That's right.
And Alhambra received an Eddie a few years back as one of the most business friendly cities in LA County. That plays right into the livability, the family friendliness.
Exactly. I'll give you one example is our Chamber of Commerce, because we feel that the small businesses and any area where you're getting a lot of immigration, you're going to have a lot of small businesses.
Well stated. Good point.
Our Chamber of Commerce is one of the strongest chambers of commerce in Southern California, all of Southern California, south of Fresno. In fact, we have our budget is larger than actually Pasadena.
Your chamber's budget?
Our chamber, right.
Wow.
And the reason for that is that many of our city functions are handled through the chamber.
How come?
Well, because it just relieves our city staff.
I see.
So, for example, the Rose Parade float. That's a city venture,
Right.
but we contract the Chamber of Commerce to do this.
Nice.
Okay, we have a local newspaper. When I was first mayor, our newspaper was 24 pages. We had a circulation of about 18,000. Now the Around Alhambra is almost 70 pages in 2 sections. We have a circulation of almost 50,000.
Is that
now.
as a result of the work of the chamber?
It is. The chamber did really well. We started to have a lot of chamber events, things for new members. We tried to emphasize the importance of small business in Alhambra.
Right.
And so that really helped the chamber. And we continue to have several functions with the chamber.
One of the benefits, one could say, of being an elected member of a city council in California, specifically Southern California, is the ability to get involved regionally.
That's right.
Especially in the San Gabriel Valley, where there are so many cities right next to each other. And you took charge on that opportunity, and you have been a leader in the independent cities of Los Angeles County. I know you recently came off that, but for many years, you were part of that organization. Tell us about that.
Well, the Independent Cities Association is for the cities that the main criteria is your police and fire. If you have your own police and fire, you're considered an independent city.
Because you're not contracting with the county, for example.
Right. And there's about 90 cities that qualify, and about 55 cities that are members. And what we do is we do the same thing that the League of Cities does, and SCAG does.
Sure.
You know,
Southern California Association of Governments.
We do the same thing, is that we look at issues and we try to take a position on them, a position that's going to help the cities. And it's pretty much, we're pretty much in line with the League of Cities and contract cities. And
so why did you choose this organization in which to become involved? There's so many great organizations. I'm sure this is one of them. But what was it about this group that you said, this is where I want to put my efforts?
Well, one of our previous councilmen was on the board, and when he was terming out, he asked me if I would take his place. I went to the meeting to take his place, but they said, wait a minute, you can't just step in here.
Okay.
It requires a vote. So one of our other council persons also wanted the seat. I didn't really want the seat.
Right.
But I was willing to do it. And so it was between myself and another council person, and the board picked me to come on that board. I was very happy to accept it, because in the few meetings that I did go to, I could see that it was a very, very good working board.
Right.
Many of the officers spent a lot of time on it, even though they had so many other things to do. The officers were really devoting their time and effort to make the independent cities a better organization.
So how long were you involved with the organization?
About 6 years.
Oh, that's
I was on the board for about 6 years.
And give us a sense of how that benefited the city of Alhambra.
Well, they have conferences every year. We have a summer conference and a winter conference. The winter conference is coming up in February in Santa Barbara, and there's we decide what the topics are going to be, what the issues in California are, and we forward those topics to all the other cities. It has a lot to do with the public safety.
Right.
Police
risk management, I know, was one of your areas.
Yeah, police and fire. We take care of a lot of that through independent cities.
I want to thank you for joining us. Please come back before your term ends, which I think is in November 2016. Is that right?
That's right. One more year.
And it's been a wonderful 11, 12 years. His name is Gary Yamauchi. He is a council member in the beautiful city of Alhambra, the gateway to the San Gabriel Valley. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for joining us on Charter Local Edition.